Commander Vexala of the Drithari Exploration Fleet, had been traveling through space for 30 cycles when everything went wrong. Her small scout ship was passing through an empty part of the galaxy when the engine failed. Warning lights flashed red across her control panel. Alarms screamed in her ears. She tried everything she knew to fix the problem, but nothing worked. The ship was falling. It was falling toward a planet that every species in the Galactic Confederacy knew about. A planet that had been sealed off and marked as forbidden. A planet called X7791 in the official records, but known by another name among the spacefaring races, the Death World. Vexala watched through her viewing screen as the planet grew larger and larger. It was a blue and green bowl, beautiful in a terrible way. She could see vast oceans and massive continents covered in green. Clouds swirled across its surface like white paint on a spinning ball. Her ship hit the atmosphere and began to shake. Fire wrapped around the hull. Vexala held on to her seat and prayed to the old gods of her people. She was small, even by Drithari standards. Her species had evolved on a tiny moon where gravity was weak and predators were rare. They had become a peaceful people, scientists and explorers, not warriors or survivors. She was not built for this. The escape pod launched automatically when the main ship broke apart. Vexala was thrown around inside the small metal ball as it fell through the sky. She could see nothing but fire through the tiny window. The heat was incredible. Her suit worked hard to keep her cool, but she could feel sweat forming on her gray skin. Then came the impact. The pod hit the ground with a force that knocked Vexala unconscious. When she woke up, she did not know how much time had passed. Her head hurt. Her body ached. But she was alive. She checked her suit. It was damaged but working. The air outside was breathable, which was good because her oxygen supply was almost empty. She would have to open the pod and step out onto the Death World. Vexala had studied the reports about this planet. The Galactic Confederacy had sent many ships here over the centuries. None of them had ever sent a message back. The few images they had received showed massive creatures with sharp teeth and claws. Plants that could kill with poison. Weather that could destroy cities. Everything on this world was designed to kill, and she was about to walk out into it. The pod door opened with a hiss. The first thing Vexala noticed was the weight. The gravity on this planet was much stronger than what she was used to. Each step felt like she was carrying another person on her back. Her legs trembled with the effort of simply standing. The second thing she noticed was the size of everything. The plants around her were enormous. What looked like simple green stalks rose up toward the sky like towers. She realized they were just grass, but each blade was taller than she was. To the creatures of this world, it was probably just a field. To Vexala, it was a forest. She started walking, pushing through the grass stalks. The ground was soft and brown. Insects buzzed around her head, each one as big as her fist. She tried not to think about how easily they could hurt her. The sounds of this world were terrifying. She could hear calls and cries from creatures she could not see. Deep rumbles from somewhere far away. High whistles from things that flew overhead. Every sound made her hearts beat faster. Yes, hearts. The Drithari had 3 of them, and right now all 3 were pounding with fear. She walked for what felt like hours. Her suit told her it had only been 20 minutes. The sun on this world was bright and yellow, and it heated the air to an uncomfortable temperature. Vexala was used to the cool darkness of space, not this burning brightness. Then she heard something that made her stop. Footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Something was coming toward her, and it was coming fast. Vexala tried to run, but her tired legs would not move quickly. The gravity pulled at her, slowing her down. She could hear the footsteps getting closer. The ground itself seemed to shake with each one. She turned around and saw it. the creature was massive. It stood on 4 legs, each one thick with muscle. Its body was covered in golden fur that shone in the sunlight. Its mouth was open, and she could see rows of white teeth, each one longer than her arm. Its eyes were brown and focused directly on her. Vexala's translator tried to classify the creature. 4-chambered heart. Carnivorous dental structure. Powerful muscles designed for chasing prey. Every reading confirmed what she already knew. This was an apex predator. A killing machine. And she was its prey. She fell backward into the grass, too scared to move. The creature bounded toward her with impossible speed. It covered the distance between them in seconds. Its hot breath washed over her tiny body. Drool dripped from its mouth onto the ground beside her. Vexala closed her eyes. She thought about her home. She thought about her family. She thought about all the things she had wanted to do with her life. And she waited for the end. She waited for the teeth to close around her. She waited for the pain. But the pain did not come. Instead, something warm and wet pressed against her entire body. It pushed her backward, rolling her across the ground. She opened her eyes in confusion and saw the creature's face right above her. Its pink tongue came out again and licked her from head to toe. The creature was not eating her. It was licking her. Before Vexala could understand what was happening, the creature did something even stranger. It dropped down onto its front legs while keeping its back end high in the air. Its tail moved back and forth rapidly. It made a sound that was almost like a bark. Her translator struggled to interpret its behavior. Play posture, it finally said. The creature is displaying play behavior. Play? This massive predator wanted to play with her? The creature gently closed its mouth around her body. Vexala screamed in terror, but the teeth did not pierce her suit. They did not crush her bones. Instead, they held her with surprising gentleness. Like she was something precious that could not be broken, the creature began to walk, carrying her in its mouth like a trophy. Vexala did not know where she was being taken. She did not know why she was still alive. She only knew that she was being collected by a predator, and there was nothing she could do about it. The death world had found her, and for some reason she could not understand, it had decided not to kill her yet. The creature carried Vexala through the tall grass for a long time. She hung from its mouth like a piece of food, but the teeth never pressed too hard. Every few seconds, the creature would adjust its grip, always being careful not to hurt her. It was the strangest thing she had ever experienced. Her translator continued to give her information about the beast. It was a mammal, warm-blooded, with highly developed social instincts. Its brain was complex, capable of learning and remembering. Its muscles could deliver short bursts of incredible speed. In the wild, a creature like this would chase down its prey and tear it apart. But it was not tearing her apart. Vexala tried to stay calm. She tried to think like a scientist instead of thinking like prey. Why would a predator carry her instead of eating her? Was she being taken somewhere to be eaten later? Was she food for the creature's young? Every explanation she could think of ended with her death. The grass began to thin out. Vexala could see more sky now. The creature was taking her towards something, a destination she could not yet see. She could hear new sounds ahead. Strange rhythmic noises. Voices, maybe, but deeper and louder than any voices she knew. Then the grass ended completely. Vexala saw a clearing covered in short green plants. Beyond the clearing was a structure, a building of some kind. It was enormous, rising up toward the sky like a small mountain. It had flat walls and a pointed top. It was clearly artificial, clearly built by intelligent beings. The death world had intelligent life. This changed everything. The Galactic Confederacy had believed this planet was populated only by animals and plants. They had never detected signs of civilization. But here was proof, right in front of her eyes. Someone had built this structure. Someone had created this clearing. The creature carried her across the short plants and stopped near the building. It lowered its head and opened its mouth, dropping Vexala gently onto a flat gray stone. She landed on her hands and knees, shaking with fear and confusion. The creature sat down in front of her. It was even larger than she had realized. Sitting, it was still taller than the trees at the edge of the clearing. Its golden fur rippled in the wind. Its eyes never left her. And then it did something that made no sense at all. It lay down on the ground and put its massive head on its front legs. It made a soft sound, almost like a sigh. Its tail still moved back and forth, sweeping across the stone behind it. The creature looked happy, content, like it had done something good, and was waiting for praise. Vexala slowly stood up. Her legs were weak, but she forced them to work. She was alive. Against all logic and reason, she was still alive. She looked at the creature more carefully. There was something around its neck, she noticed. A strip of colored material, bright red against the golden fur. It had a piece of metal hanging from it, shaped like a small disc. This was not natural. This was something made. The creature was wearing something. A decoration. A marker of some kind. Was it owned? Did someone control this beast? Before she could think more about this, the ground began to shake again. Something was coming out of the building. Something big. Vexala watched the entrance with wide eyes. A creature emerged. It walked on 2 legs, not 4. It was tall and thin, with 2 arms and a rounded head. It had hair on the top of its head, dark and short. It wore coverings over its body, colorful and strange. And it was making sounds, complex sounds that her translator slowly began to process. The golden beast jumped up and ran toward the 2-legged creature. Vexala expected violence. She expected the predator to attack. Instead, the beast threw itself against the 2-legged creature in what looked like affection. Its tail moved so fast it was almost a blur. It licked the creature's face with its giant pink tongue. And the 2-legged creature laughed. The sound was strange but unmistakable. It was laughter, joy, happiness. The 2-legged creature bent down and touched the golden beast's head. It spoke more sounds, and this time the translator caught them clearly. Luna. Good girl. What did you find today? Did you find something interesting? Luna. That was the beast's name. The predator had a name, given to it by this 2-legged creature. Vexala's mind struggled to understand. The beast was connected to this intelligent species. It responded to commands. It seemed to love them and be loved in return. But how was this possible? How could such a dangerous predator be so gentle? Luna turned around and looked at Vexala. The 2-legged creature followed its gaze. For a moment, nothing happened. The wind blew across the clearing. Insects buzzed in the air. Vexala stood completely still. Then the 2-legged creature made a sound of surprise. It moved toward her quickly, each step shaking the ground. Vexala wanted to run, but where could she go? She was trapped between a predator and something unknown. The creature crouched down. Now Vexala could see it more clearly. Its face was smooth, except for areas of short hair. Its eyes were green, like the plants. Its mouth was closed, but she could see teeth behind its lips. It was studying her with obvious intelligence. More sounds came from its mouth. The translator worked quickly. By all the stars. What are you? Are you real? Vexala found her voice. Her own translator converted her words into sounds the creature might understand. I am Commander Vexala of the Drathari Exploration Fleet. I crashed on your planet. I mean no harm. The creature's eyes went wide. Its mouth fell open. You can talk, it whispered. You can actually talk. You're intelligent. You're an alien." Vexala did not know what to say. She simply nodded. The creature stood up suddenly and ran back toward the building. It was shouting, making loud sounds that echoed across the clearing. "Maya! Maya, come outside! You need to see this." Luna found something incredible. Another creature was coming. Vexala could hear smaller footsteps. The golden beast called Luna came closer to her and lay down again, its head next to her on the stone. It was watching her with those big brown eyes, and if she did not know better, she would say it looked curious. The predator was guarding her, protecting her, keeping her safe until its owners arrived. None of this made sense. But Vexala was beginning to think that maybe the Death World was not what the Galactic Confederacy believed it to be. Maybe it was something stranger, something more complicated. Maybe it was something wonderful. The days that followed were the strangest of Vexala's life. After David made his call, many things happened very quickly. Large vehicles arrived at the house. Men and women in special clothing came to examine her and talk to her. They were careful and gentle, always asking permission before they did anything. What surprised Vexala most was their reaction to her. She had expected fear or aggression, or at least suspicion. Instead, she found something completely different. They were happy. Some of them cried with joy. "We always hoped," one scientist said, wiping tears from her eyes. "We always looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone was out there. And now you're here. You're really here." Vexala did not understand at first. "Your species did not know about other life in the galaxy?" The scientist shook her head. "We suspected. We searched. We sent messages into space and listened for answers. But we never found proof. Not until today." These humans, as they called themselves, had been alone. For all their power and intelligence, they had lived their entire existence believing they might be the only thinking beings in the universe. They had looked up at the stars with hope and fear, wondering if they would ever meet someone like her. And now their hope had been answered. They took Vexala to a large building where many scientists worked. They gave her a comfortable living space with everything she needed. They studied her with great interest, but always with respect. They seemed to understand that she was not a thing to be examined, but a person to be welcomed. Maya and her family were allowed to visit. Luna always came too, padding along on her big soft paws, tail wagging whenever she saw Vexala. The dog had apparently decided that Vexala was part of her pack now, something to be protected and cared for. During one visit, Vexala finally asked the question that had been burning in her mind. "How did you do it?" She said to David, "How did you tame the wolves?" David thought about this for a moment. "I'm not sure anyone knows exactly. It happened a very long time ago, maybe 15,000 years. But the stories say that some wolves started following human camps, eating the scraps we left behind. Over time, the friendliest wolves stayed closer and closer. Humans fed them, sheltered them, bred them for good behavior. Eventually, they became dogs." Vexala tried to imagine this. Her people had never formed such bonds with other creatures. On Drith, there were no large predators. There had never been a need to understand them or work with them. "But weren't you afraid?" she asked. "These were killing machines. They could have turned on you at any moment." David smiled. "I think that's what makes it special." It required trust from both sides. The wolves had to trust that we wouldn't hurt them. We had to trust that they wouldn't hurt us. Somehow, despite all the reasons not to, we chose to believe in each other. Maya, who had been playing with Luna on the floor, looked up. "Dogs aren't scary, little friend. They're just big bundles of love who want belly rubs." As if to prove her point, Luna rolled onto her back and waved her legs in the air. Maya laughed and scratched the dog's stomach. The fearsome predator wiggled with happiness, tongue hanging out of her mouth. Vexilla watched this and felt something shift inside her. For her entire life, she had been taught that large predators were dangerous, that they should be avoided, feared, destroyed if necessary. Her people had never considered that such creatures could be allies, but the humans had seen something different. They had looked at wolves, creatures that could kill them with ease, and they had seen potential for friendship. And somehow, against all logic, they had been right. Over the following weeks, Vexilla learned more about Earth and its people. She learned that dogs were not the only animals humans had befriended. They had also tamed cats, which were smaller predators that killed rodents and snakes. They had tamed horses, massive creatures that could carry humans across great distances. They had tamed birds of prey, teaching them to hunt and return. Every species they encountered, humans found a way to work with. "Do you ever fail?" Vexilla asked one day. "Are there animals you cannot tame?" A scientist named Dr. Chun laughed at this. "Oh, many. Some animals will never be domesticated. Bears, for example, or big cats. They're too dangerous, too independent. But that doesn't stop some people from trying." "And what happens when they try?" Dr. Chun's smile faded. "Sometimes they get hurt. Sometimes they die. But humans have never been good at accepting limits. We see something we want to understand, something we want to connect with, and we keep trying until we succeed or until we can't try anymore." This was the key, Vexilla realized. Humans did not give up. They faced predators and disasters and challenges of every kind, and they kept going. They fell down and got up again. They made mistakes and learned from them. They died in great numbers and were replaced by new generations who carried their knowledge forward. It was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Vexilla began writing her report to the Galactic Confederacy. She had a communication device that had survived the crash, and she worked to repair it with help from human scientists. When it was finally working, she sent her first message home. She wrote about the crash. She wrote about Luna finding her. She wrote about Maya and David and the scientists who had welcomed her with tears of joy. And she wrote about what she had learned. The humans did not survive this death world despite its dangers. They survived because of those dangers. The challenges of Earth had made them strong, creative, and endlessly determined. They had faced predators and made them friends. They had faced disasters and rebuilt. They had faced the empty silence of space and refused to stop hoping. The Galactic Confederacy had feared Earth because of its dangers, but they should have feared it for a different reason. They should have feared what kind of species could rise from such a world and thrive. Vexilla ended her report with a recommendation. She said that the quarantine should be lifted. She said that humans should be contacted and welcomed into the galactic community. She said that they had much to teach the other races of the galaxy, and much to learn from them in return. She did not know if the Confederacy would listen. They were cautious, slow to change, afraid of the unknown. But she had to try, because if there was one thing she had learned from humans, it was that you should never give up on something important. Luna lay at her feet as she sent the message, warm and solid and loyal. Maya sat nearby, drawing pictures of spaceships and aliens. David read a book in a comfortable chair. A family. That's what they had become to her. Strange and alien and impossible, but a family nonetheless. Vexilla looked at them and felt something she had not expected to find on the death world. She felt at home. The smaller creature came running out of the building with speed that surprised Vexilla. It was clearly young, a child of the species. Its legs were shorter. Its face was rounder. Its voice was higher, but it moved with the same energy as the adult, maybe even more. The child had long dark hair that bounced as it ran. Its eyes were also green, like the adult. It wore bright colors on its body, pink and purple. And when it saw Vexillus standing on the stone, its face changed in a way that the translator identified as extreme excitement. The child stopped right in front of her. It was still huge, even as a young one. It bent down and looked at Vexala with eyes full of wonder. "Daddy!" The child shouted. "Daddy, it's a little person. A real little person. Like in my storybooks." The adult came and stood behind the child. "I know, Maya, I know. Isn't it amazing?" Maya. The child's name was Maya. The child slowly extended one of its fingers toward Vexala. The finger was small by the standards of this species, but it was still as big as Vexala's entire arm. The tip came closer and closer. Vexala stood completely still, not sure what to expect. The finger gently touched the top of her head. It was warm and soft. The child made a sound of pure joy. "She's real. She's really real. I can touch her." Luna, the golden beast, pushed her head closer. She sniffed at Vexala with her wet nose. The child reached over and scratched behind the creature's ear with her other hand. The predator's tail began to move faster. It closed its eyes with pleasure. Then the child said something that Vexala would never forget. "My puppy didn't eat you?" Very strange. The words hit Vexala like a physical force. She stared at the child, trying to understand what she had just heard. The golden beast, the apex predator, the creature with teeth longer than her arms, was a puppy, a pet, a companion animal owned by this child. "Puppy?" Vexala said, her voice weak. The child nodded happily. "Luna is my puppy." "Well, she's not really a puppy anymore. She's 3 years old. But I still call her puppy because she acts like one." Maya giggled. "She usually chases the birds and the squirrels. I never told her to bring me a little person before." "Luna, you're so silly." The beast opened its mouth wide and showed all its teeth. The child showed her teeth back. Both of them were making the same expression, and Vexala finally understood it was called a smile. It meant happiness. The adult crouched down next to Maya. "Sweetheart, I think our new friend is very confused. And maybe a little scared." "Scared?" Maya looked at Vexala with concern. "Why would you be scared? Luna is the nicest dog in the whole world. She would never hurt anyone. She even lets the baby birds drink from her water bowl." Vexala's translator caught a new word, dog. She asked her suit computer to explain. The answer came quickly. A dog was a domesticated subspecies of wolf. Wolves were pack predators, highly intelligent, capable of hunting prey much larger than themselves. Thousands of years ago, this species had begun living alongside the dominant intelligent species of this planet. Over many generations, they had been changed through selective breeding. They had become companions, protectors, workers, friends. The creatures of this death world had not just survived alongside apex predators. They had made those predators into family. "You tamed wolves?" Vexala asked. Maya tilted her head. "What do you mean? Dogs have always been with us. They're our best friends." She put her small arms around Luna's massive neck and hugged her. The beast, the predator, the wolf descendant, leaned into the embrace and made a soft whining sound of contentment. The adult spoke again. "My name is David. This is my daughter Maya, and you've already met Luna." He paused, looking at Vexala with careful eyes. "I have so many questions. Where did you come from? How did you get here? Are there more of you?" Vexala took a deep breath. Her 3 hearts had finally slowed down. The fear was fading, replaced by something else. Fascination. Wonder. The same feeling she had felt when she first started exploring space. "I come from far away," she said. "A moon called Drith, orbiting a gas giant in a system you have probably never seen. My ship crashed here. I am the only survivor. David nodded slowly. Your ship. We saw something falling from the sky this morning. We thought it was a meteor. He shook his head in disbelief. I need to call someone. The government, the scientists, someone needs to know about this. Daddy, can she stay with us? Maya asked. Please? I promise I'll take care of her. I'll feed her and everything. Vesela almost laughed. The child was treating her like another pet, another companion to be collected and cared for. But there was no cruelty in it, no desire to harm. Maya simply wanted to help. We'll see, sweetheart, David said. This is a very big deal. The whole world is going to want to know about our new friend. He picked up a small rectangular object from his pocket and began touching it with his fingers. Vesela recognized it as a communication device of some kind. Primitive compared to her technology, but functional. While David talked into his device, Maya lay down on the stone next to Vesela. Luna moved to lie behind her, creating a warm, golden wall of fur. The child looked at Vesela with curious eyes. What's your world like? Maya asked. Is it pretty? Do you have puppies there? Vesela thought about Drith, the silver forests, the gentle rains, the quiet cities where her people studied the stars. It was beautiful, but it was also small, safe, predictable. My world is peaceful, she said. We have no predators. Everything is calm. Maya wrinkled her nose. That sounds boring. Don't you ever have adventures? Vesela looked at the child, the dog, the sky above them. She thought about the terror of her crash, the fear of being chased, the confusion of being carried in a predator's mouth. It had been the worst day of her life, and also, somehow, the most amazing. I am having an adventure right now, she said. Maya grinned. It was a big smile, full of teeth, full of joy. Luna showed her teeth too, that strange dog smile that Vesela was starting to understand. Then you came to the right place, Maya said. Earth is the best planet for adventures. Earth, that was the name of this world. Not X7791, not the Death World, Earth. Vesela looked around at the green grass, the blue sky, the strange building, the child and her dog. The Galactic Confederacy had been so afraid of this place. They had marked it as forbidden, as dangerous as death itself. They had been wrong. This was not a world of death. This was a world of life, wild and powerful and strange. And the creatures who lived here did not just survive. They thrived. They conquered. They made friends with wolves and flew through the sky and reached for the stars. Vesela was beginning to think that the Galactic Confederacy needed to know the truth about Earth, and she was going to be the one to tell them. 6 months passed on Earth. For Vesela, it was the most important time of her life. The Galactic Confederacy received her message and debated for weeks. Many species argued against lifting the quarantine. They pointed to the dangers of Earth, the predators, the harsh conditions. They said that any species that could survive such a world must be dangerous itself. But Vesela kept sending messages. She sent images of Maya playing with Luna. She sent recordings of David explaining the history of dogs. She sent interviews with scientists who spoke about human hopes and dreams. Slowly, carefully, she changed minds. And finally, the Confederacy voted. The quarantine was lifted. Now Vesela stood on the observation deck of a Drithuri diplomatic vessel, watching Earth turn slowly below her. The blue ocean sparkled in the sunlight. The green continents spread across the surface like paintings. Somewhere down there, Maya was looking up at the sky, waiting to see the ships arrive. Luna would be with her, of course. The golden dog never left her side. Are you nervous? Asked Ambassador Ketharan, the leader of the Drithari delegation. He was old and wise, with gray skin that had faded to almost white with age. Vexala thought about the question. "No," she said finally. "I am excited, and maybe a little afraid. But that is what humans call the feeling before an adventure." Catharan smiled at this. "You have changed, Commander. When you left Drith, you were a careful scientist who followed every rule. Now you speak of adventures and fear with excitement in your voice." "Earth changed me," Vexala admitted. "These humans, they are not what we expected. They are fierce, yes. They are dangerous. But they are also kind and curious and full of hope. I think we can learn much from them." The old ambassador looked out at the planet below. "The other species are still afraid. The Valthyri worry that humans will conquer us all. The Marvani think we are making a terrible mistake. Even some Drithari believe we should seal the quarantine again and forget about this world." Vexala had heard all of these arguments. She understood the fear. Humans were powerful and unpredictable, shaped by a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. It was natural to be cautious, but caution was not the same as wisdom. "Do you know what humans did to wolves?" she asked the ambassador. "They took the most dangerous predators on their world and turned them into loyal friends. Creatures that would die to protect human children. Creatures that love humans so much that they cannot bear to be apart from them." Catharan nodded slowly. "I read your reports. It is remarkable. Now imagine what they will do to us," Vexala said. "Not conquer us. Not destroy us. They will befriend us. They will find ways to work with us, to understand us, to become our allies. And in time, we will be as loyal to them as their dogs are." The ambassador raised one of his thin eyebrows. "Is that not also a kind of conquest?" Vexala smiled. It was a human expression, but she had grown to like it. "Perhaps. But it is a conquest of love, not war. I think that is a conquest worth accepting." The first human shuttles rose from the planet below. Vexala watched them climb through the atmosphere, silver shapes against the blue sky. They grew larger and larger as they approached the diplomatic fleet. Many species had gathered for this moment. The Valthyri with their crystal ships, the Marvani in their living vessels, the proud Kandari in their ancient warships. All of them watching as humanity took its first steps into the galactic community. The lead shuttle docked with the main diplomatic station. Vexala traveled there with Ambassador Catharan and the other delegates. They gathered in a large meeting hall, hundreds of beings from dozens of worlds, all waiting to meet the humans for the first time. The doors opened. A group of humans walked in, dressed in formal clothing. They moved with confidence, but also with obvious wonder. They were looking around at the alien species, studying them with the same curiosity that Vexala had seen in Maya's eyes. Leading the group was a tall woman with dark skin and silver hair. Behind her came advisors and scientists and diplomats. And walking next to the woman, obedient and calm, was a golden dog. Vexala's heart jumped with joy. It was Luna Dot. The woman approached the center of the hall and spoke. Her words were translated instantly into every language present. "My name is Dr. Sarah Chun. I am the first ambassador from Earth to the Galactic Confederacy." She paused, looking around at the gathered species. "We have waited a long time for this moment. For thousands of years, we looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know the answer, and we are so very glad to meet all of you." The dog sat down next to her and showed its teeth in that familiar smile. Many of the alien delegates stepped back in fear. They saw the fangs, the powerful body, the predator's eyes. They did not understand what they were looking at, but Vexala understood. She stepped forward, walking past the other delegates until she stood in front of Ambassador Chun. The human woman looked down at her with recognition in her eyes. "Commander Vexala," Dr. Chun said warmly. We have heard so much about you. Thank you for everything you have done. I did only what was right, Vexala replied. Then she looked at Luna. The dog's tail began to wag. May I? Dr. Chun smiled and nodded. Vex, single quotes. Ayla walked up to Luna and placed one tiny hand on the dog's giant paw. Luna leaned down and licked her face, just like she had on that first day in the grass. The delegates gasped in shock. Vexala turned to face them, standing in front of the massive predator. This is Luna, she announced, her voice carrying through the hall. She is a dog, a descendant of wolves, a predator that could kill any of us in seconds. She paused, letting the fear build. And she is also my friend. She saved my life. She protected me when I was alone and afraid on a strange world. Luna showed her teeth again. This time, Vexala showed hers back. The humans do not conquer with violence, Vexala continued. They conquer with love. They find the most dangerous creatures in the universe, and they offer them friendship. They turn enemies into allies. They turn fear into trust. She looked at the gathered species, one by one. We can be afraid of them. We can seal them away and pretend they do not exist. Or we can accept their friendship. We can let them do to us what they did to the wolves. We can become part of their pack. Silence filled the hall. No one moved. No one spoke. Then, slowly, Ambassador Ketharan stepped forward. He walked up to Luna and looked into the dog's eyes for a long moment. Then he reached out with his thin gray hand and touched the golden fur. Luna's tail wagged faster. Other delegates began to step forward. One by one, they approached the dog, touched her, felt the warmth of her fur and the gentleness of her spirit. Fear gave way to curiosity. Curiosity gave way to wonder. Dr. Chun watched with tears in her eyes. This is what we've always wanted, she whispered. Not to conquer the stars, just to make friends. Vexala stood beside Luna and smiled. The universe would never be the same. The humans had arrived, bringing their dogs and their hope and their infinite capacity for love. They would change everything. And somewhere far below, on the surface of Earth, a little girl named Maya was looking up at the sky, holding her father's hand, knowing that her little alien friend was up there making history. The death world had finally shared its greatest secret with the galaxy. Humanity was ready to make the universe their family.